All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to From Launch to Usage, 7 ways to accelerate Copilot adoption. My name is Kristin Ginn. I am a Senior Product Marketing Manager for Copilot usage here at Microsoft, and I'm really excited to help you drive adoption for Copilot. If you're spending this afternoon with me or watching this recording online, live, or the recording, you are likely asking yourself, how can I help my users learn how to use Copilot? How can I increase usage for my organization and actually harness the benefits of generative AI? Well, you're in the right place. Today's agenda is pretty straightforward. I'm going to lay the foundation of why you have to think differently about driving adoption for generative AI tools and what the real change management challenge is that we're all trying to overcome. And then we will dive straight into 7 ways and resources that can help you drive Copilot adoption and usage for your organization. And I'm hoping that we will have some time at the end as well for a quick Q&A. So let's dive right in. Why is AI adoption different from adopting other types of technology? Think about having a technology like an email client or a productivity suite. If you're moving from one solution to the next, a lot of times it's not an augmentation, it's a replacement. One day you will turn off your old solution and switch over to the new one. That means you are kind of forcing your users to start using the new technology. They don't really have a choice to work the old way. With AI, it is different. You're really giving your users a choice to work the old way or to start using generative AI. For those of you in the room, raise your hand if you have done any of the following for rolling out Copilot. Who has Copilot available for your organization, meaning your users can start using it? Okay, that's pretty much most of you. How about announcing it via email? Have you let your users know, hey, Copilot is now available, you can start using it? Who has done that? Okay, pretty much the same people. How about sharing onboarding resources like prompt guides, how-to guides, etc.? Who has done that? Okay, few less, but still about the same. And how about onboarding trainings, prompting trainings, where you bring your users together to learn how to prompt? Okay. So you have checked all the boxes that you would usually go through for driving adoption for technology. But now raise your hand if you have done all of that and you're still wondering, why is Copilot usage not the same as what I expected? Why are my users not really using it to the degree that we thought? Okay, that's a few of you as well. And that really all comes down to think about Copilot as a new way of working. And you're really asking people to change. But it's human nature to avoid change. There's a loss aversion. There's fear of the unknown. All of these things can make it really difficult for your users to really embrace generative AI and reimagine how they want to work. Your users have really adopted ways of working throughout their entire career. They have routines, they have habits that do not involve AI. And you're asking them to change that. Well, you want them to adopt new ways of working with AI by their side, but you will usually run into 3 different types of users when you ask them to change. First one is your champion user. They couldn't wait for you to roll out Copilot. They are now playing around with it. They discover new ways. They constantly try to find new ways to reimagine their work. They're the ones who will drive most of your usage right from the get-go. Then you have the curious user. They're the ones who are playing around with it a little bit. They may find 1 or 2 ways how they can use Copilot, but overall, they will mostly stick to the old way of working. But if they get inspired and see how their colleague Bob, for example, is using Copilot, they may be okay adopting that new way as well, if you provide them with a prompt. But the third type of user is the reluctant user. They're pretty much like stuck in their way. They have a really hard time changing, they don't really see the value, and they're maybe not even interested in using AI. Worst case, they may have tried Copilot and it didn't work for them. That might be because their prompt wasn't good, but they may not know that. For them, the thought manifested in their mind that, you know, this didn't work for me. I'm going to keep working the same way I've worked my entire career, which sometimes can be decades on the job. So what you have to focus on when you try to roll out Copilot for your organization is that change management challenge. You have to be able to speak to all 3 types of users and help them understand how they can reimagine their work. This slide looks pretty complicated, but what it's showing you is if you approach generative AI through the lens of change management and really focusing on the human side of AI, it can help you drive usage faster and get your users to actually be more proficient with Copilot by their side. The blue line that you see on the bottom is when you adopt the more standard tech rollout approach. You make it available, you do some trainings, and then you basically say, go and use it. You will see some of your champion users go and start using Copilot, but if you really focus on getting your humans, your employees, ready for AI, helping them shift their mindset a little bit, you're going to move into that purple line, meaning you will start out higher because you're making it easier for your people to transition into the AI-first mindset. And then, overall, you will start to see a flywheel come into motion that creates a momentum that actually raises the overall adoption rate for Copilot for your organization. If you adopt this change management framework, you can actually see adoption increase 7 times faster and higher than if you just roll it out like a technology. How do you overcome that change management challenge, though? You need to focus on the human side of AI, not just the technology. And there are 3 themes that you will see throughout the 7 ways that I'm going to walk you through. The first one is focus on making Copilot relatable for your people. If you just sent them a regular, very generic prompt book, they won't probably look at it and say, okay, I get it, I get what it does, but how does it apply to me? If you can make it relatable for them and show them what it means for their specific role, that is going to go a really long way in getting your people to start embracing AI. The second one is inspiring the change. Some of your users may play around with it, like your champion users, but for others, they want to see how Copilot and generative AI is being used by their peers. If they can see that Bob over here just saved 30 minutes because he didn't have to go through this long report and find the top 5 takeaways on his own. He just used Copilot for that and said, hey, Copilot, what are the 5 takeaways from this report? That inspires users. And if you can do that and show how Copilot is being used, celebrating these small wins, that can actually help you drive usage as well. And the last one is all about having fun. We see it consistently in research, in feedback from our customers, and in internal pilots that if you can show how using Copilot can actually be a fun experience and make your work more enjoyable, that drives usage. It's the number one influence that drives Copilot adoption, showing that if I use Copilot at work, I can actually have fun at work. A task that might be boring or tedious for me, if I use it with Copilot, I can actually have fun doing this. So you will see these 3 themes going through the 7 ways that I'm going to walk you through. 7 ways to accelerate Copilot adoption. What I mean by that is there are 7 resources and tactics that you can use to really help your users learn how to use Copilot, how to reimagine their work. The first one is the most technical one of this presentation. It's introducing Copilot Chat. It's not very technical, but The second one is activating your leaders, recruiting your champions, generating momentum, giving your users hands-on experience, and building daily habits around Copilot, and then bringing it all together by creating a Copilot community. We're going to dive into each of them, starting with introducing AI by using Copilot Chat. Some of you may be aware of this, but Copilot Chat is actually available to all of your users who have an M365 license. It's a free web-based chat version that has the same enterprise data security as your M365 license. So for those users who do want to have a full Copilot license, you may have given it to them. But you might also have some users who don't currently have a license, but they do want to use AI. If you don't make it available to them, chances are they will find ways to use generative AI, meaning they might end up using your data, putting it into one of the free versions online, and now your data is out there, right? You do not want that for various reasons. If you make Copilot Chat available to your users, it's a really good way to, for one, address the need for those users who do want to have generative AI. But it's also a really good way for you to introduce your users that are curious or maybe even reluctant for a more intentional way of using AI. It also is a way for you to introduce agents. Copilot Chat comes with some integrated agents that are already available, or you can create your own agents and make those available to your people. It's just a good way for them to get used to the concept of what agents are, how they can help their work, etc. Copilot Chat comes with the same IT controls as your Copilot rollout, and it has the same enterprise data protection and agent management as a full Copilot usage. So your number one takeaway, and again, this is the most technical for this presentation, is pin Copilot Chat for your people. If you are a global administrator or AI administrator, all you have to do is go to your Microsoft 365 Admin Center, go to Copilot, Settings, and pin Copilot Chat. The default is that you is not pinned for your users. All you have to do is flip it, say pin Copilot Chat, which is recommended by Microsoft, and that will show the Copilot icon for your users. So they can start playing around with it and just getting familiar with what generative AI can do for them. There's a link over here, aka.ms/copilot/pin chat, that you can go to find the step-by-step instructions. I will have a slide at the end of this deck that has all of the links that I'm going to walk you through today, so you can take a photo of that as well. So action number one, pin Copilot Chat. Start introducing generative AI to your people. The second one is activating your leaders, and that is where we go a little bit more into the human side of AI. When you think about what I mentioned before, that is human nature to avoid change, and you're really asking your people to change the way they work. They will look to your leaders for guidance, not only if it's okay to use generative AI, but also, are my leaders actually using it? If they see that your leaders are not really using generative AI, they're not really talking about it, that sends a message to your people. This is not a priority. I don't have to change the way I work, because change is hard, so why should I go through it? But if your users see their leaders using AI, talking about it, making it visible, that can actually send a very different message, that AI and Copilot is a priority, that even my leaders are using it, so I better start using it as well. If you activate your leaders as well, they can help you communicate the strategy, not only for the rollout. So depending on your organization, you may start to roll out dedicated Copilot licenses to your entire organization all at once, or you may decide to only roll it out to a select few, or maybe only one department. Your leaders can help you identify what the best rollout strategy is for you, and then also communicate that to your organization. Why are we doing it this way? Similarly, they can paint a vision for your people. Because, again, you're trying to ask your people to change the way they work. If they have a vision, when they understand why the organization is going through this change, it can actually help anchor them. It's like a North Star. Why am I being asked to change? Well, because here's a vision for my organization. If you can communicate that, it speaks to a lot of people at a much deeper level than, here's the technology, go and use it. They can also communicate the priority. Why is the organization investing in Copilot, and why is it important for me as a person and for my team to start finding ways to incorporate agents, Copilot, etc. in my day-to-day work? They can also set goals. That can be KPIs, like daily active usage, weekly active usage. It can also be goals at the individual level. Like, for example, they can tell their users in their team, hey, let's try to find ways to reimagine how we work and execute one new process every month that involves Copilot. It's these types of goals that your leaders can start communicating at different levels. That can be at the team level, at the function level, or at the organizational level. And the last one is awareness. I touched on that earlier as well. But if your leaders are actively showing how they're using AI, how they're actually celebrating wins of team members that are actively using AI, it can go a long way. Because if wins happen in silos and nobody knows about it, are those wins actually happening? How do I know that Bob just reinvented how he does his monthly reports if I never know that he actually uses AI for that? right? Your leaders can start to help you communicate that. So action number 2 is activate your leaders. You do not have to go all the way to your C-suite. It can be, depending on your organization, it can be the director level. It can even be just a manager who has maybe 2 or 3 direct reports. Find the leaders that make sense for your type of organization and activate them. Bring them together and enable them with some materials and guidelines of what you as an organization envision Copilot to, do for your processes, for your people, for your productivity. And then align on expectations. What do you want your leaders to do? Is it a monthly meeting? Is it every Friday when they have a team meeting? They start off with the first 5 minutes asking their team members, so tell me, what is your win with Copilot this week? The second one is communicating. Again, I mentioned, if you communicate the vision, the strategy to your people, it brings them together. It gives them a North Star and a reason why they should change. So when you find these leaders, help them communicate the vision for Copilot, not just at the organizational level, but also at the functional or team level. Help them explain why transforming with AI and Copilot is a company-wide priority, how it applies to their specific team, and if you have enablement programs, trainings coming up, etc., have those leaders promote them and actively encourage users to attend those. And the last one is all about the awareness. Help your leaders make Copilot usage visible, not just their own, but again, going back to the teams. If there is a win in my team, I want to be able to highlight that. That can be a spotlight in a town hall. It can be a newsletter that I may send out to my entire organization every week where I dedicate one section that says AI highlight of the week. And then there's like, hey, Bob, again, Bob is really awesome. Bob just reimagined how he does his weekly reports. Highlight that. That makes it visible to others who may not know about the amazing work that Bob is doing otherwise. And the last one is be accountable for Copilot transformation. That can go back to the KPIs you may set at the team or organization level about usage or reimagining processes, but it can also just be accountable for making Copilot visible. Be accountable for having these Friday team meetings where you kick everything off with, how did Copilot help you this week? This can go a really long way, and this is the top-down approach to really transforming your organization with Copilot and AI. Now, we just talked about how we want to drive the transformation from the top down. You also have to build it from the bottom up, and that is where you want to recruit your champions. Your champions are the ones who couldn't wait to get Copilot. They're playing around with it. They're finding ways to reimagine their work. But what you will find is most of these champions, they aren't just passionate about finding new ways to drive productivity with Copilot. They're excited to explore. And most of them, you will also find, is they can't stop talking about it because they're so excited about what they just did with Copilot. By being so excited about Copilot, they will actually help you create awareness of what's possible with Copilot organically. Because imagine that you come up in in the kitchen, you meet Bob at the water cooler, and he's like, dude, I just did the coolest thing. I just saved 30 minutes because I used Copilot to summarize this report. That creates some level of awareness where I will walk back to my desk thinking, what Bob did was really cool. Maybe I can do this too. These types of champions will also help you identify use cases that can solve real challenges because they're the ones who do the actual work that your people are doing. So it's not just somebody who's in enablement that may not know anything about marketing. They probably do, but for this case, they don't. If I hear something from enablement, I might, read it, take it in, but it doesn't resonate as much as if my peer tells me about it. Those champions are the ones who will do that for you because they will work on the same business challenges as their peers. They can also generate small wins for their teams because if Bob does this, he will teach his teammates how they can do the same thing. They may share the prompt. And that might prompt me to actually pass this along to somebody else. So it's like a momentum, like a snowball effect that this champion just started. Your champions are also the ones who will provide feedback, not just to the enablement team, but to their leaders about what they just did with Copilot. Be that during those Friday meetings when they share their weekly wins, or you can actually set up regular check-ins with them as well. where you purposefully get them in a room, share their wins, and then these are going to be packaged up to be sent to your leaders. Because again, you want to activate your leaders as well to lead from the top down. So it's that bottom-up, top-down approach. Those champions, again, because they're so excited as well, they will also encourage others to start using Copilot. So action number 3 is identify those champions, find them, and activate them to build that momentum from the bottom up. They are already excited about Copilot. I put here that you want them to commit time and effort. That may sound like a lot of work, but for them, it really isn't. It's like giving them a megaphone where they can actually talk even more about how amazing Copilot has been for them. You may want to provide them with a few materials to support their work. That doesn't necessarily have to be training materials or resources or prompt books, etc., but it can be team activities. Again, going back to the have fun with Copilot box that I showed on an earlier slide, if you can give your champions activities where they can bring their team together and actually hack away with Copilot in a fun way, that can build momentum, that can build excitement, and actually show everybody that, hey, if we do this together, we can have fun at work, and we can be productive and save time. You also want to set up regular check-ins with them. That can be one-on-ones between your enablement team and your champions. Ideally, you want to bring some champions together so they can learn from each other and actually share wins that, if I'm a champion in marketing and there's a champion in finance, usually there's not really a connection between our two functions. But if we come together as champions, I may hear what finance is doing, and it might spark something in me, saying like, this is a finance example, but I think there's a way for me to translate this into what I'm doing at marketing. So again, this is starting that momentum and that flywheel where you have a spark over here that can ignite another spark over here. Sharing those wins is going to be really important, and sharing those with the leaders as well. Again, through these check-ins with enablement, these weekly Friday team meetings where you started off by talking about how AI helped you, these are going to be your grassroots champions that are going to help encourage and inspire your peers. If you remember, that second box was all about inspiring the change. That is what your champions are for. Because if I see how my peers are using it, that will inspire me to do the same. Action number 4, generating momentum. So we talked about how you now made Copilot Chat available to everybody. You activated your leaders. You activated your champions. How do you generate momentum? We actually have a resource that is called the Copilot Launch Day Event Kit. What that does is, again, going back to having fun with Copilot, you want to bring everybody together and really make a big splash around bringing Copilot to your organization. What this kit allows you to do is 3 things. 1, it helps you introduce Copilot and Copilot Chat through demos, scenarios of how it can be applied across different teams, different functions, and you can even bring your experts together. Those are your champions and your leaders to talk about how Copilot has already helped them. It's also a way for you to engage your users through prompt trainings. I think you're probably all familiar with the garbage in, garbage out. That is very much true for prompting. If your prompt isn't good, your output isn't going to be good either. So bring your users together, get them a foundation on how to write a good prompt, and then have some fun contests. It can be a prompting contest. It can be a contest about, here's a business challenge. Let's try to work together to find a way how Copilot can help us with that, and have a team activity. Bring your teams together. We actually have a resource called the Dream Destination, which is a 10-step prompting project where you use prompting best practices, get better at prompting, and you dream up a destination where the sky is the limit. It can be a restaurant on the moon. It can be a cafe on the bottom of the ocean. You create that, you present it like a travel magazine, and you create images. If you do that as a team activity, your people will take a few things away from that. 1, Copilot is fun. I just created a restaurant on the moon. That is so cool. It can also bring people together. And if you work together, if you learn together, that actually makes a lot more things stick in your mind than if you just go through a training on your own. The last piece is having fun. This kit actually comes with props for photos if you do it as an in-person experience. It also provides swag, and that is mostly digital swag. Again, going back to making Copilot and generative AI visible to your people. This swag includes, for example, avatars for your team profiles. Like it's a little circle that goes around your profile. Teams backgrounds that you can use, email signature banners that you can add, anything that helps make Copilot visible. Action number 4 is hosting one of those launch day events. Now, every organization is different. For some of you, it might make sense to do this as a full day event in person, bringing everybody together. For some of you, it might make sense to do this virtually. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 hours, one day. Maybe you might split it up, do one section over here, next month you do the next team, etc. Whatever makes sense for you. This kit is available. There's a link again on the bottom. And it comes with planning and logistics guidance. So if you want to do this in person, it actually provides you, hey, this is what you should do 8 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out, etc. There are ideas for different activities and trainings that you can do. Customizable templates for event asset production, meaning if you have in-person events, there are actually like background drops, etc. And templates to communicate the event, pre, during, and after the event to your people. All customizable. You can download it and start thinking about how you want to run one of those. Again, this is to bring everybody together, launch Copilot with a splash, and get everybody excited about this. Number 5 is the hands-on experience. So you kicked it off. Now how do you get people to actually start using it? One way to do that is a promptathon. Again, I will get into how you can execute this. But what promptathons are is it's ways to bring people together to hack away on solutions that are highly relevant for them. When you have trainings that are really generic, yes, some of it might stick, especially if it's like, prompting best practices. But if I'm in marketing and I see somebody do a very specific use case for finance, I might tune out. Even though I'm interested, it's like, this is way above my head. I don't know much about finance. Like, this is not for me. When you do promptathons, you bring people together. Say you have groups of 5 people that are all on the same team or in the same function. They will come up with a challenge. Like, what is the one business process, the one challenge that really just takes out your time in the day, etc. And they will hack away. How can I use Copilot with that? They will work together as a group, find prompts, agents, they might create one as well, to really figure out how they can solve this challenge. These promptathons start with thought leadership. This is really where your leaders or champions come in, talk about the vision, the strategy that I mentioned earlier. Prompting training, which is prompting 101, how to create a good prompt. And then it goes straight into the hands-on hacking. That's where the people come together and hack away on the solution. The fun part about this experience is that at the end, there's a competition. Can be a friendly one, can be competitive, depending on how your people are. But what that is your people that work together as a group will present their solution to everybody who participated in this promptathon. Ideally, you will also have some leaders and champions be the judges. They will listen to all the presentations and then crown the most creative one, the most fun one, the most impactful one. And you may even give away some awards. That can be just bragging rights. I love those. Those are awesome. Or you can give away swag as well, whatever makes sense for you and the experience you want to create. And the coolest part is because you have all of these people working together in different teams, they all create different prompts. And at the end of the promptathon, you have an entire prompt book of prompts that were created by peers. If you package that up, you can send it not only to the people who attended, but to their teams or even the entire organization. That prompt book is going to go a really long way because it is peer-generated. It's not just somebody who has no connection to the work that I do. It's my peers who created this. So chances are the prompts in here are going to be highly relevant to the work that I can do as well. So action number 5. Host a promptathon or attend one. There are different ways how you can do this too. The first one is you can create one on your own. We have an entire customizable kit that you can download similar to the launch day that walks you through how to set it up, tactics you can use, activities, challenges, how to do the judging and the awards at the end. You can also attend one. There's a link over here that will show you promptathons that are happening near you. Right now, I believe there are only 4 for the rest of the year because the holidays are coming up. But starting in January, you will see how there's a huge list across the world that you can attend. This will basically be you and peers from other organizations coming together to hack away on solutions. You will still get the prompt book at the end as well, but it's others. You can hear from others how they're actually using Copilot, how they are potentially challenged with driving usage at their organization as well. So it's learning from your peers, not just within your own organization, but across others as well. And the last one is if you have a dedicated account or partner team, reach out to them because they might have yet other ways to bring promptathons to your organization. These have been really successful because they're really peer-generated and they're solving real challenges that your people are struggling with. Number 6 is building daily habits. So we started rolling it out. We helped them get hands-on experience. But again, it's human nature to avoid change. So how do you help your people build new habits, unlearning the old ones and building new ones with AI? We have a really amazing resource called the Great Copilot Journey, and that has actually been one of the most successful ones, both for Microsoft internally and for pretty much any customer that I know of who has run this. What this is for your users is it's an experience where they receive a prompt a day over the course of currently 30, pretty soon 50 days. All of these prompts are not just, hey, here's a prompt to try. Hey, here's a capability of Copilot. It is all centered around the value and the benefit that they can get out of Copilot. For example, we have one version for Microsoft 365 and one for Copilot Chat. If you run the one for Copilot, for Microsoft 365 Copilot, so the licensed users, week 1 is all about how Copilot can help you save time. Week 2 is all about how you can supercharge your creativity with Copilot. Week 3 is all about how you can expand your expertise with Copilot. So it's not just, hey, here's a prompt, go and use it. It's really focused on what's in it for me as a user. They're also really fun and easy to follow. There are different ways how you can execute this, and I will get into those in just a second. But imagine you get an email a day, every morning at 8 o'clock. It takes you maybe 2 minutes max to read it. It'll tell you, hey, here's the prompt of the day. Here's what you get out of it. Here's the prompt. Now go use it. It is really quick and really easy for your users. They don't have to dedicate an hour a week into a training by attending a training. It's really quick. I get one prompt today. I will read it in the morning. I will start weaving it into my workflow today. Next day, I get a new prompt. Now I got a second use case of how I can use Copilot. Imagine that over the course of 30 days. That'll give you 30 different ways how you can use Copilot. If you're the enablement team or even just a champion, this program is really easy to set up. I mentioned that we have 2 versions, one for licensed Copilot users and one for just Copilot Chat. All of these templates are customizable, meaning, yes, they are somewhat generic, focused on the benefits. But if you see one prompt where you're like, you know, this doesn't really apply to our organization or to my team if I'm just a champion running this, you can customize it. You can swap out images, copy, you can even swap out the prompts and truly make it yours in a way that applies to your team or your organization. And it's really quick to set up. Action number 6, if you want to run this, there are 4 different ways, with 2 more coming very soon as well, that you can execute. The first link here is the main page that also walks you through what it is, what the prompts are, etc. And you can download email templates. They're just simple OFTs that you can download. I can download it. I'm not in enablement. I'm not in IT. I can download it, and I actually did run this for various teams. You open them in Outlook. You decide who you want to send it to, and then you schedule it. Email 1, Monday at 8. Email 2, Tuesday at 8. It takes about 15, maybe 20 minutes max to set it up. And then you're set up for 30, pretty soon 50 days of sending a prompt a day to your team and your people. If email template is not your thing, we also have a Power Automate workflow that you can use. If you have access to Power Automate, it's even quicker to set it up. It'll automate it for you and automatically send these emails. If you want to be even more hands-off, you can opt your users into receiving these emails. If you go to the admin center and you opt your end users into receiving emails from Microsoft, the first email for Copilot is just going to be a welcome, hey, here's what Copilot can do, you know, your general welcome. But then emails 2 through 5 include 5 prompts that your users can practice throughout the week. So it's not the daily experience, but it still provides them with 5 things to practice each week in a really low-lift way. And the last one is a Viva Amplify campaign. This is a pre-built campaign in Viva Amplify that has all of the prompts from the Great Copilot Journey that you can then set up once, and you can send them through Teams, through Amplify, Viva Engage, and through emails as well. So it's really easy to set up, and this has been one of the most impactful ways for us to drive usage as well. I ran this as a pilot with 653 people across different teams at Microsoft. And what we saw is that during the experience, we saw a 24% increase in daily active usage. And even after the 30 days were over, usage remained 14% higher than before. So that shows you that just by getting these daily nudges that are really low lift, people start to realize what's possible. And some of the feedback we got from quite a few actually was, I'm kind of sad 30 days are over. I wish this could continue because it was so helpful. One of them even said, this was the most fun training I've ever experienced. So I highly recommend the Great Copilot Journey to you as well. Now, you taught your people what they can do with Copilot. You got them some hands-on experience. They're starting to build new habits. The last step you want to take is creating a Copilot community. When you bring people together, you can have them share wins, how Copilot has helped them save time, be more effective, gain productivity. They can learn together both what worked and what didn't. They can get inspired by what Bob is doing, going back to Bob. You can make Copilot visible, showing that, hey, there are wins that are happening across my team, across other teams, and that can drive the inspiration. They can have fun together, going back to those fun activities, and they can connect the dots, not just within their team, but if I see what finance is doing, I might bring that to marketing as well, with a twist, obviously. But it's the inspiration that you really want to create and that momentum of bringing people together to talk about Copilot, making it visible. So action number 7 is start creating a Copilot community. There are a few different ways how you can do this. The first one is, you actually want to do that, bring your leaders in. If you can have your leaders communicate, hey, we have a Copilot community. We want you to engage in whatever way works for you. That can go a long way because, again, it's coming from the top down. If you do a Copilot launch day, that's a really good way for you to also launch your community. You will go through the day, and then at the end, you can say, we now have a community. Go and engage. It's going to be, for example, a monthly get-together, a happy hour. It can be lunch and learns that you do on a regular basis where you bring champions and everyday users together to share how they have reimagined their work. We also have digital assets that you can share. Those are Teams backgrounds, etc., outside of the resources that I shared earlier that can just help make Copilot and the community visible. It also emphasizes the idea of let's learn together. It's okay if your first prompt didn't really work the way you intended it to. It's all about working together, getting better, sharing our experiences, and again, having fun with Copilot, because that is really what's going to inspire your people. And the last piece is when you have those champions who are just so excited to use Copilot and they want to always know the latest information, they can also join the official Microsoft 365 champion community. That is where they get regular updates. They also have regular meetings that they can join to hear from others, to hear from Microsoft about the latest updates, capabilities, etc. Here's a slide that I think you probably all want to take a photo of. These are all the links that I shared in the previous slides. In addition, I also put the adoption site up here. That is probably the main resource that you would want to bookmark in your browser. The adoption.microsoft.com site has all of these resources and a ton more. It's broken down by the type of product you have, Microsoft 365 Copilot, just Copilot Chat. There's a section on the bottom where you can choose if you are an enablement, if you are in an enablement team, if you're a business leader, if you're interested in technical readiness, or if you're a business user. And each of these categories has a lot of different resources that are applicable to what you're trying to do for your organization as well. And the last one is the Customer Hub. That has a ton of videos and resources that can help you as an organization and you as an individual learn how to use Copilot as well. So these are the 7 ways or 7 tactics that you can use to really help focus on the human side of AI, human side of Copilot, and drive that change management. Don't think of it as a tech rollout. Think of it as a human rollout, a human change management challenge. If there's one thing that I want you to do when you go back to your organization is pick one of these. When you come back on Monday, take a look at the photo that you just took. Find one thing that you want to start doing on Monday and start executing that. Share that photo with others in your team and start finding those champions. Maybe even send that photo to them so they can start exploring those resources. And that is how you can start that flywheel from the top down, from the bottom up, and inspiring the change from within. If you can get that flywheel into motion, you will see how that can help drive a lot more usage than if you just go and say, Copilot is available, go and use it. That is likely not going to work. Thank you so much for your time today. We do have a few more minutes. If you have any questions, we have a microphone over here, and I have 2 people who are going to be able to give you a microphone if you're further in the back as well. So I'm happy to take any questions, or you're also welcome to come back to the stage after. Thank you so much. Hi.
Is this thing on? All right.
Yes, it is.
I think a challenge that we have is in a large organization, we have a mixed license environment, right? We do have a few full Copilot users. Everybody else has chat. How are we, do you see a lot of challenges with companies balancing those engagement efforts between the broader community and maybe the more focused 365 Copilot users?
Yeah, I think going back to the champions too that I mentioned, you will have those champions who are basically asking for a license, right? Then you have people who don't have a license and they may want one. So how do you decide who gets what and how to communicate with them, right? It's a little bit challenging in a way that you may not want to buy a license for every single user that you have, right? You want to start, you might not be able to do that. So I think using a resource like the Great Copilot Journey is usually a good way not only to tell your people how they can use Copilot, but also to surface those that may deserve a license versus those who don't, because they will raise their hand if they're like, hey, I want to do that, but I'm not able to because I don't have a license. They're usually the ones that can really identify, the use cases and talk to the champions as well. If you have a mix of licenses and non-licenses, it's really up to how your organization wants to handle that. A lot of customers start with a specific department that they give the full license to for a certain period of time, and then they reevaluate. I was in a session earlier today where one of my co-speakers was talking about how they actually look at the daily and weekly active usage. And if they see that somebody has a license but isn't really using it, they kind of send a message saying, hey, if you're not using it, we're going to give it to somebody else. Not as a punishment, but more like as an efficiency and productivity aspect. I don't know if that answers your question, but
that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
That concludes the session. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of Microsoft Ignite.